Okay. So first of all, who are you and what do you do? So give your name, your position, and if you have any hobbies or interests besides game dev.
Okay. So I'm Tina. I'm currently the outreach of VGDC. Hobby-wise, I guess recently it's more like cross-stitching, knitting, and drawing. I've been like knitting like some of our officers' gloves. Still trying, because I do have class, so I sometimes just like have to watch videos and just kind of just get it over with. But yeah, and then other hobby-wise, I do draw sometimes. A lot of the familiar memes you guys have seen in the lab, like half of them is probably like mine. So yeah, fun stuff.
So besides admin, what is your role in the club?
I used to be an art director in terms of what I was before admin, and then I'm kind of all over the place. It's kind of like in the club where like some people are just like good at programming and some people just do art. I kind of do like art, production, programming, and writing. The only thing I don't do is like audio and design because I really don't know how.
How did you get into game development?
Well, how did I get it into game development is more like childhood loneliness, I would guess. You know, like the nerd child, usually they don't get along with people. So at home I just gotta like play video games. And another reason is more like classical Asian parents. They always want you to be like a doctor, lawyer, accountant, otherwise you're a disgrace to the family. Typical stuff. And then when I applied for college, I was just like, no, I don't want to do I don't want to be a doctor. My English is too bad to become a lawyer. Math sucks. I don't want to be an accountant. So I was applying to comp sci in general until like I was applying to UCI and I saw computer game science. I was like, I play games all day. Maybe I should try. And here I am, stuck forever.
How did you join VGDC and how did you become an officer?
How did I join VGDC? This was a fun time. So it was way before anyone else got here. Back in my times, when they started recruiting people, when UCI isn't as competitive, they, I don't remember what it's called, it's like SIR. So pretty much it's the thing where you like apply to them and you say like, I'm sure I'm coming to UCI. So it was a time where they have to invite you over for like a small party stuff and they gave you a presentation of like why UCI is great, why you would choose UCI. So back when I was there, the VGDC officers back then, in like 2004, actually had a presentation of like what they do and what is the club about in like the event. And then it's nothing really special back then because back in the days Unity and Unreal wasn't as prevalent, so people kind of just use like, I don't know what they're using. So eventually what they showed me was like a walking simulator that has some horror audio in the background. Not really impressive back in my opinion. And then what attracted me was one of the officers during the presentation was like, so if you're a CGS, you need to join this club. And for me, like 18-year-old was like, okay, I'm CGS, maybe I should join. That's how I joined. How I became an officer was kind of like, it was, I was a friend with the president from 2 years ago. If any of you guys are in 161 Game Engine Lab, yes, that is your professor right now. And he's like, hey Tina, you want to be an art officer since you draw a lot? I was like, sure. And then back in the days, officer is more like, it's just busy work and slave labor. So no one actually wants to do any of it. So I applied. I was the only one to apply, so I pretty much got in by default. Yeah, it's great. No competition.
What was your experience like the first time that you went to the game lab? Like, how did you end up going in there?
That was a long time ago. It was kind of, don't remember that much. But back in the days, how did I get into the game lab? It's because back in 2014, we have a thing called Milkshake Monday, where every Monday, the officers would just bring in a bunch of people over to Strickland, and then we just get milkshakes because milkshakes was on sale. And then we just talk about game dev, school, majors in general, all that. And then sophomore year, we kind of just like, everyone got busy and we just stopped doing that, and now Strickland is gone. Yeah, but that's how we actually got to know most of the officers because they would just drag us around campus. because like freshmen, you don't really know where things are. You kind of just like blindly follow them until you hit Strickland and it's a mysterious ice cream place, and just kind of stay there, which was pretty nice. Yeah, I think that was my experience of like how I got into the game lab in the first place. It didn't change that much, besides the fact it got cleaner because we actually cleaned the whole thing. Like during summer now, because oh my god, game lab. All the dust, it was terrifying.
Why should people join VGDC?
Actually, the brutal answer is if you actually want to get a job, please do. And another reason is more like this school itself, because UCI is a research school. What I do is just research and theory. You don't get much hands-on practice, especially games, where game science was first made by a bunch of people who just know CS, but not games. So they were just like, yeah, games is cool, let's make a games major. And then they don't actually teach you anything about game engine, team development, or asset creation, or everything else. So eventually a lot of people who picked this major just got screwed up because they don't know how to do anything after they graduate. So as a club right now, we're trying to fill up the blank between like the school curriculum and what you actually need to be in the industry. Like, for example, Git, version control, it's pretty prevalent in like VGDC, every team uses it. But like in the actual curriculum of like CGS and CS, the only class they will require you to use Git is software design, so Informatics 43, and you only need to A, make a GitHub account, B, push one thing, 3, commit one thing, D, you're done. So yeah, it's not really helpful at all. They don't really teach you. And a lot of job requirements now, they will say like if you know how to like do source control or Git, it's a plus, but then just not a lot of people actually know how to use it. And then it also builds portfolio, because I talked to the recruiters. We did have like a resume workshop in fall. They did say like they just want to see if you know how to work with people, if you have made projects outside of class before. Because you will think like, oh yeah, in my, I don't know, ICS 32, I made a cello, it was pretty cool. But since, especially for Blizzard, I heard from the recruiters, because they knew UCI teaches those things. So out of like all the applicants, you can see a bunch of people just put like Othello in their resume, and it kind of got repetitive. They just know it was a school class.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, especially a friend of mine who works in IT. He did come back during career fair, and he talked about working at Blizzard, and he's like, yeah, a lot of us are from UCI, so like if you put Othello or like Pattis's project, we'll know. So yeah, definitely extra like projects, definitely more important like for your portfolio and for your resume in general.
What are some of your favorite memories from the club?
Favorite memories? Definitely Milkshake Monday was fun. Back in the days where people just get milkshake and talk about things. And then definitely another thing is like my first game jam. I don't remember what the topic was. It was like back in 2014. But I remember it was me and like a programming officer from 2 years ago. We kind of just worked on like a zombie game. It was fun because there are traps on the ground, and the grounds are like have spikes going up. And then because we couldn't figure out how to make the spike sound effect, so someone just pulled out a fork and a knife and kind of just like do this on like the knife, and it sounds good. So I just used it. That was pretty fun. And then let's see what else. It's been too long. It's kind of like when you just stay here for like so long, you kind of just don't remember. And also another fun thing that people kind of jokes around is like the Itai board, of course, and Itai you're fired. That's another thing. Yeah, those are the two that's like people are joking about.
Just running jokes in the club as well.
Yeah, running jokes.
What was your first game project like?
One on fire. I'll just give you that. So fun fact about the club, back in 2014, the team size has no limits. So my first team had 12 people in it. 2 artists, like 6 programmers, and 2 designers, and some other things. And that went into hell really fast. So my first game, whoever pitched that game, his original ideas, it's a platformer, but with no walking and no jumping. You teleport around platforms and you shoot puzzles to get through levels. It was a year-long project as well, so after a year, we didn't even have a running game. The game was broken. the designer and the team lead had a huge fight because they didn't get along. They were too stubborn about their ideas, and the designer rage quit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was an experience. It kind of just burned and crushed really hard. But then the fun fact was everyone in that team kind of just became friends. Like, I still talk to some of them after like they graduated. So it has a few of my best friends who I still hang out and play with. It had Edwin in it. He's the president from 2 years ago. He's also the professor 161. And it has Vincent, who was an audio director last year. And yeah, I see. Most of them graduated. I'm old. Yeah, but a bunch of them were still friends, and that went pretty well. The project itself, nah, forget about it.
Do you have advice for someone who's doing their first game jam?
First game jam? I guess it's just like be open to what you can do, because sometimes game jam is more like I just want to make something stupid really fast, and then no matter what you make, you will eventually learn something. And whether you learn like how to make a shooter, how to make a platformer, or how to make text dialogues and all that, eventually it's gonna help you with your other project. So you don't really have to think, oh, I have to make this perfect. Nothing's perfect. It's kind of just go for it.
Would you like to talk about any of the games that you've been a part of?
Oh god, that's a long list.
Pick some of your favorites.
Well, my favorite, definitely my favorite besides Capstone is my Phoenix Wright ripoff, which I just rip out the entire game in Unity and build it from scratch in a quarter. That was a lot of fun because UI in Unity is very frustrating, and how to deal with like file structures and loading data and making tools is the experience. So eventually what happened is instead of like writing everything in the Unity inspector, where if you might have a git fire and you just lose everything, I told my writer friend, who was the writing director from last year, I was just like, do you know how to use Excel sheet? And he's like, oh good. I was like, okay, you write the dialogue in Excel sheet, I'll give you a format, I'll finish the rest. And then so every story just kind of converts from Excel sheet to like JSON and into the game. So it kind of just runs by one file. That was pretty good. Though because we got busy and he got a job, I got Capstone, the project was kind of just left there. Eventually, like when I have time, I might just port everything to Unreal just for fun. Yeah, and then another project is like the infamous fighting game. That's why the club hardcore banned fighting game. It was just not good. So what happened, for those of you who didn't know me talking about this or didn't see me rage about fighting games, a group of people in senior Capstone class was out of their mind, and they were like, I want to make a fighting game. And then guess what? They don't have any artists. They found me and they were like, hey Tina, do you want to work on a fighting game? I was like, yeah, sure. Worst mistake ever. I did 25 animations, spent like 150 hours, and got paid by 1K barbecue and a bagel. Never again.
And that wasn't even through the club, right?
That's not through the club, that's senior Capstone class. The good thing that came out of it is I have a default A in senior Capstone. Cause yeah, Josh has pity on me.
What games inspire you as a developer?
There are a lot of games that kind of inspire me to be a developer, like, because growing up from like another country is different from like people growing up here. For people who grew up here, I hear like Zelda, D&D, and like Doom, maybe some other things, and GameCube. But for us, it's just like, because China is a weird place, and we kind of just play like pirated games or like some mysterious games on like disc that I don't even know where it came from. So definitely the experience is a lot different. But it's just more like you kind of like to play games, you kind of think it's fun, so I guess that's kind of how it started. I do also like drawings and all that, but I feel like games is just different. I guess because part of the reason is I also play a bunch of MMOs, and then the social experience I got from these games are like kind of just with me forever. But I guess that's how it just all started.
Where would you like to work after college, or like what are some of your major goals?
A job. The brutal fact is like getting into the games industry is hard, especially for your first job. I've seen plenty of friends who graduated and spent at least for like a year to look for jobs in the games industry. So for now, my goal is just to apply everywhere for like the first job. And eventually when I get the first job and start getting experience, probably just some other places. Though in terms of game companies I want to work with, I'm alright with most of them because I don't really have like a dream company I want to work for. Blizzard is nice, they have really nice people, and looks like the environment is really friendly. That's what I like. But in general, my criteria for like companies is more like, are they like a friendly environment? Are they like nice towards their employees? I feel like those ones are probably the most important ones. Because some companies do have a reputation of like abusing their employees or like have a bunch of scandals regarding like sexism and racism, and those are something you need to consider when you find a job.
I have a few more questions for you. So first of all, if you know it, what is your Hogwarts house?
I think I did the test and it was Ravenclaw.
Nice. What Pokemon would you be if you were a Pokemon?
Debating between Eevee and Lucario.
Good choices. If you were stranded on an island, what 3 essential things would you want to have with you?
Does the island have electricity?
Sure. Yeah, it does. If you...
My computer.
Yeah.
And maybe water.
Yeah.
Maybe food. Because, yeah, you kind of need those.
Good choices. Yeah, with those things, you know, what more could you need? If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. Because flying is cool.
Could you explain a little bit about the infamous E-Type board?
And
just the history of the E-Type memes.
Okay, the E-Type board. How it all started, so it was a long time ago. It was about like 2015, 2016. Back in the days, we only had one giant whiteboard that's broken. So like, it always fall down most of the time. And then eventually we're just like, let's just replace it. Find like a smaller whiteboard and find maybe another chalkboard so we can put in like important information, like the bad ideas or bulletins or like flyers and all that. So our production officer back then, Jacob, who just got a new chalkboard and put it on a game lab. It was an empty board when it happened. Nothing was on it. And then one day, it was, I remember, me, Maya, and Greg started it collaboratively. So I think one time we're just talking and then something about like the hedgehogs just suddenly came up. And then we're just talking about like Sonic OCs and all that. I wasn't quite listening when it happened. I just remember Maya explicitly told me, Tina, can I commission you to draw like Itai the Hedgehog? Yeah. And then I was like, sounds like a good idea, sure. So I did it. I actually had to look up the reference of how to draw a Sonic OC because I never did this before. So I just did that, and then I drew like the black and white line art for it, and I'm just like, this is too degenerate for me. I don't think I can finish this. So I just gave my line art to Greg, and Greg colored it and put caption on it and printed out and like pin it on the board. And then since now on, people just keeps posting new stuff about like Itai's picture or just everything else on it, and eventually it just became the Itai board. Technically, I started all this. Me, Maya, and Greg.
That's your legacy in the club.
Oh no, my true legacy is Mimi the President for video games. For those of you who didn't know, I made 2 games. One is called Edwin, which it was a meme game about the previous president, Edwin. And the other game is Itai Goes to the Gym.
Of course.
Yeah, those 2 are all like made by me, in a way. And then so I told the kids, the future generations, this spring, when you guys figure out who the next president is, please meme the hell out of them.
Oh, yeah.
This is my legacy.
That has to be the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The last question, I was gonna ask you about fighting games. I was gonna ask you, should I pitch a fighting game next quarter? But you already answered that.
Yeah, I bet that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and also for same thing with Itai board. The ongoing meme about Itai you're fired apparently is a really popular meme as well. It started with my sophomore year project, I believe. It was called Vengeance. It was a really edgy bullet hell game where I pitched. And Itai, that was the first time Itai ever participated in the VGDC project. And he's hella busy, as usual. He actually does his reading like a good kid. And then every time I walk into the game lab, he's probably working on something else or doing his like general ed readings. I'll just ask him, I was like, so Itai, where's my game? Itai would just look at me and be like, ask Chris. I was like, okay, you're fired. So that went on for the entire year when the project was a thing. And even when he became an officer, I still does the same trick. And then when he thought he became the president, he can finally get away with it. Nope. So like from the other folks and SGDA, like he would describe me as the person who can fire the president multiple times without consequences. So yeah, that was fun.
Cool. That's everything I have. Thank you.